Hi and welcome to The Fan. I'm Alema Harrington. We're coming to you tonight from the Zions Bank Basketball Center. It's our special preview of the upcoming NBA draft. Kevin O'Connor sits down to talk about the Jazz 2 picks. Who will Utah take and why? Plus, Jimmer Mania hits Jazz Nation. The BYU legend is in the house to work out for the Jazz. We'll sit down with Jimmer and find out if he wants to wear that Jazz jersey permanently. And Steve Brown takes us for a trip down memory lane. We look at the history of the NBA draft for the Utah Jazz. Some great picks, some not so great picks. But first, it's time to check in with the man who will be charged with making the final decision for the Utah Jazz, the Vice President of Basketball Operations, Kevin O'Connor. Craig Bolerjack had a chance to sit down one-on-one with the boss and find out what he has in store for the Jazz and their 2 first-round picks.
Thanks, Alema. Countdown to draft day continues, 4 days and counting on this Sunday. Kevin O'Connor alongside. I tell you what, let me ask you straight up. The difference 5 years ago, 6 years ago in 2005, when you drafted or traded up to get the 3 pick, now you have the 3 and the 12. Is there any similarities in pressure right now, how you're feeling when you got D-Will?
I think the biggest pressure was on draft day when we were still trying to make the deal to trade from 6 to 3. The deadline for it was 12 o'clock our time. We consummated it at 5 of 12. You know, it's like the taxes, you know, yeah. April 15th. But we got it done that day. And I felt so good about that because we felt like, and I'm not saying anything out of school because we said it at the time in a draft room, that we knew, because Boga was here, we knew his agent and we knew that he liked our situation, but Milwaukee had told him he was going 1. And then at 2 and 3, we just felt like we were going to get either Chris Paul or Darren Williams, and we were real comfortable with that.
You continue to work out a lot of players. The Jimmer Mania hit a few days ago. Overall, have you been pleased with the way the guys come in, prepare themselves, and try to impress you in a very short period of time?
You know, I think it's the thing that's impressive with the guys that have come in so far is they've been all in really good shape. Now, when you have the 3rd pick, you know, it's a job interview. Yeah. And if you do the numbers and run them how much this guy makes and how much that guy makes and how much you make at 3 and how much you make at 7, there's millions of dollars difference. So, but they've all grasped that. And, you know, a lot of the things as you look at the guys that quote unquote in the mock drafts that are all quote up there, right. Most of them have helped their teams win. And that's a big key for us.
Start us from how this process begins all the way to how it ends.
Well, we've probably already started on a 2012 draft. You know, I mean, that starts when guys pull their name out of the draft that maybe you were preparing for a little bit, so they go in a folder for 2012. But to go back a year and say, when we sat down, our draft pick is encumbered to Minnesota because of the Al Jefferson trade. So now you say, okay, well, it's protected through 14. Well, midway through the season, we didn't have a draft pick, basically. So, but as we sat down, what we try and do is prepare each year like we're doing a mock draft, like we're being the Chad Ford of the Utah Jazz, and we're preparing a top 100 list, and we're doing that because you never know what's going to happen, and certainly, you know, an opportunity reared its head to get a guy like Devin and Derek and still a high draft pick. So we had prepared for that since the start of the year. Our Walt and David Fredman, more so than myself, go out and watch practices in October and November because you want to see how guys practice. And then we spend a lot of time going out to see games, and you know, then we go to Chicago, then we go to the, before that we go to all the tournament games, and we start narrowing the list down a little bit. Then the lists come out and guys stay in, guys come out. Example, some of the kids that stayed in college, you take them off the board, who you've scouted already, and you just keep narrowing it down and keeping your focus in. You start out with a shotgun approach, and pretty soon you get to an arrow approach where you're firing an arrow at something. And then you go to Chicago to the Combine, you interview the kids because you haven't been allowed to talk to them per NCAA rules and NBA rules. And then after that, you wind up with our sports psychologist, Keith Henshin, dealing with it. And then you deal with all the tapes. And we have Synergy that tells you how many times the guy goes left as compared to going right, how many jump shots he makes from 16 feet going left. And then you say to yourself, how do you make a mistake?
You write one guy's name, I think you told me, on every draft board. So you don't forget what happened a long time ago with a guy named MJ.
Yeah, Michael Jordan. I mean, Portland drafted Sam Bowie, and they needed a big guy badly, but they felt like, and again, I'm just reading back into it, but you read, you see what happened. They had Jim Paxton, who had played in the All-Star game, and they had Clyde Drexler, and they said, well, we don't need that position, we don't need him. And so I always remind our guys, take the best player available.
Right. Do you expect to be a major player on draft night? And only when I say that is because of the 3 and the 12 picks. I have a feeling the phone rings a lot on Thursday,
It will.
and probably right now it is.
It will, but some of the offers you can say no to pretty quickly. It's funny when you get a call and you say, I know you probably wouldn't do this, and you can short circuit that and say, you're probably right. We wouldn't do that.
Right.
What we try and do is when it gets significant, we try and then sit down with Greg, and let him know what's going on. But until now, until it gets significant, we delve through things. Would you trade 28 and 30 for 3? No.
No, thanks, but thanks for asking.
But you say, did you have a lot of activity? Well, that's activity. I don't know if it's accomplishment, but it's activity. So we'll get some opportunities to take a look at some things, and who knows what we'll do.
Listen, I've got a little thing here. I wanted to see if you'll do something. Will you just write down for me the picks at 3 and 12, and just between you and me?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, there you go. Let me see how easy that was. So look at that. I'll have all, just Kevin and I.
I can write down a 12 pick. For sure.
For sure. Okay.
Absolutely.
Kevin, thanks for
And
your
if
time.
he's there at 12,
I'll take that back in a bit after you write that down. See how easy that was? Now we're in the know. Alema, Kevin O'Connor, back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Bowler. I'll tell you this, I'm glad I'm not the one making the final decision on Utah and their 2 first-round picks. Still to come on The Fan, the biggest name in college basketball makes his way to the Zions Bank Basketball Center to work out for the Jazz.
Whatever they threw at me, I just tried to go in there and show them I can play against everybody. So I think I've done a pretty good job, but we'll see.
Jimmer Fredette is in the house. We'll go one-on-one. Plus, we'll take a look at the other players auditioning for Coach Ty Corbin and staff.
I feel like I have a great vibe with the team and with the staff, so hopefully I can come to Utah.
It seemed like a great place. Like I said, great point guards have been here and done a great job, so it'd be a place I'd love to be.
And Steve Brown turns back the clock to see what the Jazz have done with their draft picks in the past.
The Utah Jazz select Karl Malone of Louisiana Tech.
All that and more coming up next on The Fan. Hey, if your kids are into basketball, they can't miss this. Former Jazz star and current Jazz analyst Matt Harpring is holding his basketball camp coming up this summer. Harpring will have 2 sessions of his Back to Basics camp at the Park Center in Murray. The first one starting next Monday. For more information on how to register, just head to mattharpring.com.
To 6'7", 210-pound junior, Dominique Wilkins from the University of Georgia. We feel that we have the best athlete in the draft. He'll fit in with our exciting brand of basketball, a run and gun. And I think you're going to have a lot of thrills when you see this guy jump next year. I think we actually got a better jumper than Griffith, if that's possible.
Welcome back to The Fan here at the Zions Bank Basketball Center. Of course, a lot of attention has been focused here on Jimmer Fredette, the kid out of BYU. But don't forget, there have been a lot of other players that have worked out for the Utah Jazz, including some that could go higher than the Jimmer. First things first, was Jimmer impressive?
He's quicker than I thought he was, and his competitive nature, man. This cat really competes, and he hates to lose.
It was an intense workout. They had you working very hard, going from thing to thing, and I thought it went very, very well.
And how about these other guys? Big names like Final Four MVP Kemba Walker. And all anybody can ask about is the Jimmer.
This is definitely the most people I've had as far as media, and I applaud Jimmy for that.
I knew it was going to happen. I knew that the people were very, very interested about this workout and wanted to know about it and see how things went. So, I'm not surprised at all. I'm glad you guys came, though.
Walker was one of the point guards the Jazz were said to be considering with the 3rd overall pick.
I'm pretty sure that they need a point guard. That's really it. I feel like I feel like I have a great vibe with the team and with the staff. So, hopefully I can come to Utah.
It was great to be able to go against him, and that's what you want. You want to play against the best. At least I do. I want to go out there and compete against the best players. I think it brings my level of game up because I know if I don't play well, he's going to kill you.
The other point guard Utah's looking at, Kentucky star Brandon Knight.
It seemed like a great place. Like I said, great point guards have been here and done a great job. So it would be a place I'd love to be.
I think he loved to play. He came over last night after getting in town, and from what I hear, worked out for about 2 hours. He came in today in tremendous shape and performed again today. So I think he'll put the work in to be good.
Knight caused a stir with some when he preferred to work out alone, something the Jazz usually don't do.
The main thing right now is just listen to what my camp says, and the best thing to do, they say, is just to work out by myself. I'm a competitor. I don't mind working out against anybody. Kentucky play against the best of the best all the time. You don't go to Kentucky not to do that.
We all just trying to take the best advice as possible from my agents. We're all very competitive. Me, Brandon, and Jimmer.
Whatever the Utah Jazz do with their 2 first-round picks, it's going to be a busy and difficult week for Kevin O'Connor and company.
Only get more cloudy as the more guys you see. It gets a little more confusing.
What you try and do is take the best players available, but I also think if you get a kid that's specific in a position, then maybe you don't, then maybe you don't draft the same position at 12.
Coming up, Steve Brown looks at Utah's draft history. Some good picks and some not so good. And finally, we've teased you long enough. We go one-on-one with the Jimmer.
You never know with the draft. You never know what anybody's thinking. So I'm just looking forward to see what happens.
That's coming up next on The Fan.
I've just passed up the slip to the commissioner. We will draft Jose Ortiz.
He seems to be a pretty good shooter. If he's the player of the year in the Pac-10, he's got to be pretty good.
Just a reminder, be sure to log on to megadailydeals.com to get the best deals in town on all your favorite products and services. That's megadailydeals.com. The Salt Lake Bees are off on the road, but they will return on Saturday for a 4-game set with Colorado Springs. Don't miss June 25th, where you can see the incredible Whiplash, the Rodeo Monkey. And don't forget the 4th of July. That means fireworks at Spring Mobile Ballpark. Tickets are still available. For more information, make sure you call 325-BASE. That's 801-325-2273. Or check out the website at slbs.com.
Never heard of him before. Trust their selection.
I think it's pretty good from what I heard. At first I wasn't a little leery about it, but he seems like he's a pretty good ball player.
Over the years, the Utah Jazz have had some of the best draft picks in NBA history. Steve Brown takes a look at the Utah Jazz and their past and focuses in on some of the hits and some of the misses.
The Utah Jazz is very proud to select Darrell Griffith, 16th.
When the Utah Jazz drafted Darrell Griffith 2nd overall in the 1980 college draft, the modern Jazz era, that is post-New Orleans, got a boost. The Golden Griff paved the way for Jazz first-round successes.
We were just very anxious to get a quality basketball player here. And I'm not so sure that if we hadn't had the first pick, we still wouldn't have picked this young man, Darrell Griffith.
He is the highest draft pick in history. This year, the Jazz draft 3rd, and 3 has been an interesting number.
With the 3rd pick in the 2005 NBA draft,
we all remember trading up to 3rd for Deron Williams a few years ago.
Dominique Wilkins from the University of Georgia.
But not many remember the Jazz drafting Dominique Wilkins with 1982's 3rd pick. He was immediately sold to Atlanta to keep the struggling franchise alive in Utah. That 82 draft was the beginning of the Jazz golden years.
From the NCAA championship, North Carolina State team, Thurl Bailey.
83 brought in NCAA champion Thurl Bailey with the 7th selection.
The Utah Jazz select John Stockton of Gonzaga University.
The following year saw Stockton join the team, and no one will admit to being among those who booed the 16th draft pick in '84, but someone did. I was there.
13th pick.
In '85, the Jazz pick at 13 certainly proved lucky.
We're going to bring a mailman.
Who can forget the joy on a young Carl's face when he realized the state had declared his birthday a holiday and was holding a birthday parade for him every year on July 24th.
Love it so far. Love it.
Utah Jazz select Del Curry.
A year later, Del Curry at 15 completed a 5-year run of Jazz draft successes.
Theodore Blue Edward. Jose Ortiz.
Raul Lopez from Real Madrid, Spain.
Sure, there were bumps along the way.
Luther Wright from Seton Hall University.
In 1993, the selection of Luther Wright at 18 didn't work all that well. And passing on Tony Parker in 2001 for Raul Lopez wasn't the team's finest hour. But when you look at the successes, you'd have to give the front office a pretty good grade. Reporting for The Fan, I'm Steve Brown.
Thanks a lot, Steve. A lot of people, of course, are wondering whether or not Jimmer Fredette will be part of the Utah Jazz future. Time now, finally, to get to that one-on-one interview with the Jimmer. Jimmer, workouts are done. Feel pretty good about what happened today?
Yeah, I definitely do. I thought it was one of my better workouts. I really did. I shot the ball really well, took it to the basket, played good defense, just competed hard. We have a good workout. You know, Kemba was here, Malcolm Lee, some guys that are athletic and are, you know, looking to be drafted really high. So I thought I competed really, really well and just showed what I can do. You know, just go out there and play my game and, well, like my mom said, just do what you do, Jimmer. And that's what I tried to go out there and do today.
As far as the Utah Jazz are concerned, you mentioned that you wanted to go work out with teams that you felt like you fit with. How do you feel like you would fit here?
I think I fit really well. You know, a great system, a lot of ball screens. They need a guy that can stretch the floor and can penetrate and get other guys involved. And I think I can really do that. I think that's my strong suit. You know, Coach Corbin's a great guy. You know, just took over last year for, you know, Coach Sloan, but I heard he's doing a great job and the players really like him. So I'm just looking forward to seeing wherever I'm drafted, but I think I'd be a good fit.
When you look at what has been surrounding just this day for us, the media has been crazy. Obviously, you locally are a huge celebrity. Would you be excited about coming to play for Utah for that part of it as well?
Yeah, definitely. I have a huge fan base here. Being here for all 4 years, it'd be an easier transition, you know, at least socially for sure. You know, just having everybody here, having family and friends, you know, so it'd be a lot easier that way. And I think, like I said, I'd fit in with the basketball team as well, and I really believe that I could help them out and have a really great career here if that happens. But you never know with the draft. You never know what anybody's thinking. So I'm just looking forward to see what happens.
Are you able to keep tabs on, or maybe your agent does this, or family and friends, kind of what your draft stock is? It's going up, it's coming down. You know, the Jazz have the 3 and the 12. Do you see yourself available when they're picking?
I don't know. You know, you never know what other people are thinking. I think pretty much everything's been mostly positive. You know, people want to see defense, and I went in there and tried to show them that I'm a little more athletic than they think and can play defense at this level. Just got to put your mind to it and go out there and give the effort. And I've been doing that in these workouts, so I think you know, things are going really well. But you don't really know what's going to happen with the draft. I'm just looking for June 23rd and hear my name called wherever it is. I'm going to go out there and play as hard as I possibly can and give it my all.
What do you do between now and the draft then?
I'll go home for a little bit, go back to Glens Falls for, you know, 3 or 4 days, hang out, just relax, try to get things off my mind, and then I'll go down to the draft and you know, be in the green room. And so I'm looking forward to that. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but you know, it'll be nerve-wracking.
Last question, you have to kind of position yourself against the other point guards that are in the draft, or shooting guards that are in the draft. How do you feel like you've done that during your workouts? I think I've done very well. Played against anybody that they wanted me to, any of the teams, whoever they wanted to bring in. I felt like I would go against them and just compete and just show them that, you know, I can play with anybody, whether it's a bigger, longer, athletic guy or a smaller, quick guy. Whatever they threw at me, I just tried to go in there and show them I can play against everybody. So I think I've done a pretty good job, but we'll see. Stay tuned, even more of The Fan when we return.
At 45, the Utah Jazz select Brian Russell of Long Beach State.
He's a competitor. Well, that's what you're looking for at this time in the draft.
When you draft in the second round, you're reaching for one of those guys that you hope maybe has a chance to make it for you.
And we're looking for your help. We're looking for your pictures as a fan, whether you're at a Jazz game, Bees game, or taking in the races at Miller Motorsports Park, or maybe even doing your favorite outdoor activity. If we choose your picture, you may win tickets to a Bees game or passes to Miller Motorsports Park. So log on to our Facebook page and help us get you, the fan, into the game. Another big weekend in the Megaplex theaters. Green Lantern came out on Friday, and coming this Friday, it's Cars 2. For tickets and showtimes, make sure you check out their website at megaplextheaters.com. Time now for our Discount Tire Track Spotlight. This week, Miller Motorsports Park General Manager John Larson tells us about the Lucas Oil Offroad Championships coming to Tooele next weekend.
We've committed to Lucas to have the premier track on their circuit in that series here at this facility, and we're excited for that to open. The fans will be closer to the excitement and be much more involved in watching that event than they have in the past. This is an exciting event that's growing. There's a lot of banging and crashing and 900 horsepower trucks flying around, and it's a great event to bring your kids and your family out and experience this type of racing.
And you can purchase tickets for any event by logging on to millermotorsportspark.com. And you can also purchase clothing, accessories, or karting sessions while you're there. That's millermotorsportspark.com. That's going to do it for this week's show. Make sure you tune in next week. The Fan will be covering the draft in New Jersey with the Utah Jazz. Plus, you can be part of it by going to the Energy Solutions Arena on Thursday for the annual draft party. We'll see you next week right here on The Fan.